Hi, this is Zap, and welcome to the Reset and Zap podcast.
I just need a reset. No, it's not enough to press pause. I think I need a reset. I need a reset. Reset. Reset.
Welcome to the Reset and Zap podcast. I am your host, Zap, and with me is my co-host.
Hey everybody, what's up? It's your boy TJ.
And welcome once again to episode 6 for the Reset and Zap podcast. A quick reminder, don't forget to drop your ratings, and it truly helps shape the future of this podcast. That, my God, we've been having so much fun, haven't we?
Oh yes, indeed.
Yes. And let me start with my favorite segment, because we just have to jump right into it.
What are we doing today?
What do you think it might be?
Maybe it's a rewind.
This topic, ladies and gentlemen, is super exciting. This is covering a previous video that I made on my main channel, YouTube /ZapCristal, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And of course, you can find us at
ZapCristal.com.
ZapCristal.com. This video is all about my healing journey, where I talked about video games that have helped me heal. And I thought, what a great way to go back to this great discussion that I had in this video and have you join in and share your own list of video games, but with a twist to it.
Oh, we're going to twist it up, huh?
Yes.
All right, what are we twisting
We're going to switch it up, because it's not only about video games, but we're also going to talk about music that has helped us go through dark times.
Okay.
So listen up, fams. I know all of us at some point, we've gone through tough times, some hardships, heartaches, and we have to use sometimes outlets that will help us navigate through this world called life.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. This place, this planet Earth. And I want to let you start because, of course, I've already discussed this in a video, but, I might bring up some selections and some choices that might surprise some of y'all that, of course, I did not have the time to include it in a video for what it was at that time. So, do you mind starting us off?
Okay, I will kick it off. Let me start with video games. And it actually, two of the big ones are actually come from the same series. It actually comes from the Final Fantasy series. And particularly, I'm talking about Final Fantasy 7 and Final Fantasy 10.
Ooh.
These games' story goes really, really deep and helped me deal with some tough situations in my life. Final Fantasy 7 is a game about what to do when you have to deal with loss. And a lot of stuff that goes on in that story is about dealing with loss. The main character is dealing with loss. The side characters are dealing with loss. It's a lot about dealing with loss and how to get over it, and how some people deal with it well and some people deal with it not so well. And that really helped me a lot figure out where I was in that spectrum of how do I deal with loss and what side of the coin do I land on,
Do you mind sharing a little bit of the background story, if you can, in your own words?
I don't want to ruin the story.
No, not about the game, but more so of what you were going through at that time that, that game made an impact in your life.
Well, the specific loss that I'm talking about is, for Final Fantasy 7, is I was dealing with the loss of a family member who had passed away. And it was really hard for me because this person meant a lot to me. They were actually pretty pivotal in my music career, because this person was who I was aspiring to be. And they were like a fantastic musician. They were a great singer, and they did all these amazing things. And I just wanted to be like that, where I was just like the jack of all trade kind of person. So when he died, it really affected me quite a bit. And I didn't even realize how badly it was. But after playing through Final Fantasy 7 and how those characters deal with the loss and the death of friends and family, it helped me to realize that the things that I was doing, may not have necessarily been the most healthy way to deal with it. Because I kind of attached myself to the main character. Cloud Strife, who dealt with his loss in a very not healthy way, and it forced him to go through a bit of an identity crisis. And that's something that I kind of associated myself with as well, because I kind of lost sight of who I was, trying to hide my pain from the loss, and him having to come to terms with who he really is and what his life story is really about. It really resonated with me. So that one in particular, it's really, really touching for me. I'm getting a little emotional.
Yeah. This is a little deep dive to the personal.
Yeah. And then, of course, my favorite Final Fantasy game of all time, Final Fantasy X, is another game that deals with, all right, now that you've gone through this loss, what do you do after? How do you rebuild? How do you come back to who you are? And once again, for some reason, I always end up finding myself attaching to the main characters of Final Fantasy games. But the main character in this story, he's used to being the center of attention, used to being the star of the show. And he loses pretty much all his old life, where he was the superstar sports player and everybody knew his name. And he's in this world now where he pretty much feels alone and nobody really knows who he is. And he has to come to terms with this new life that he's now living and having to deal with the loss of his old world and trying to figure out if he can even go back to where he was. But more than anything, he learns how to live in the moment. Like, all right, I know where I'm trying to get to. I know what my goal is, but this is where I am now. How do I live in this world that I'm living in now and move forward? And
he's pretty much given a blank slate.
Yeah.
Start all over again.
Pretty much. And it's so funny because me and his story align so much, because it also takes the help of a beautiful young lady to help him realize his his way.
Oh wow.
So I kind of equate their story kind of a little bit to ours.
Wow. That was interesting.
Yeah, I snuck in on you, didn't I?
Yeah.
See that coming, did you?
Yeah, I did not. Absolutely did not.
Neither did I, but sometimes I get to talking and things just come out.
Just a blurb.
But as far as on the music side, it's a bit different for me. It's a bit weird. I know a lot of people are going to think that this is a cop-out, but if I had to pick specific music that has helped me heal, it would be my own music.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because the thing about it is I see music kind of like my outlet. Like, that's my therapy session. Whatever I'm dealing with in my life, whatever I'm going through, whatever I see going on around me, I put that into my music, and it helps me like deal with it. Like, it helps me get my thoughts out of my head and onto something. And I think you mentioned this to me before, but it's like music is like my diary.
Yes, it is.
It's like a diary that I share with the world. So it's like all my inner thoughts, all my inner demons. I have songs about dealing with depression. I have songs about love. I have songs about losing love. I have songs about happiness, sadness, everything. And those pretty much just come from my day-to-day life and what I'm dealing with and what I'm going through. So like that helps me heal. So in a weird way, my own music is what helps me heal. But beyond that, if I had to pick specific artists that I always reach out to when I need that extra healing touch, one of my absolute favorites is Mary J. Blige.
Yeah.
Her music comes from her heart. Like, you can tell when she's singing about something and she gets to wailing and dancing and kicking around and stuff, you know that girl, she's singing from personal experience.
Yeah.
And she's kind of the big reason why I put so much of myself into my music, because I see how touching it is when I listen to her music. So that is, she was a big influence on me.
Which is so funny because it's our son's favorite too.
Yeah.
He constantly brings her up.
He loves Mary J. Blige.
Yeah.
So do I.
I think he might. I think our son might have a crush.
Hey, if you gotta have a crush on somebody, Mary J. Blige is a good one. I'll co-sign that.
You're gonna second.
I'll co-sign that one. I'm totally okay with that. But just music as a whole for me is just, music always puts me in that specific zone or that specific place that I want to be. So it's like whatever I need at that moment, music is always giving me something to lean on. So that's my answer, and I'm sticking to it.
Wow. So for me, it's hard because technically I already did a video on this. So if you guys want to find out about my selections, just go watch the video. it truly is worth your time watching this video, because for the very first time I stepped out of my comfort zone. I was completely vulnerable, and I shared some very personal things in this video that will help you get a better glimpse of overall who I am as a person when I'm not in front of the camera, right? But going back to that list, if I were to choose, which in this case, I'm going to choose 2 games that resonate with me. Now, going back to the video, if I were to choose 2 games out of the entire list that have really made an impact in my life, one would be Spiritfarer. I've talked about this before, and you guys actually witnessed this in my content creator journey. I had gone through a miscarriage, and losing someone is a very hard thing that you're never fully prepared for it.
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is that you don't know how you're going to grieve until you actually are going through these tough times. And for me, it was the very first time I had lost something that I consider precious to me. So how do I even grieve? I didn't know how to grieve. And luckily during that time, I was playing a game called Spiritfarer, which is all about losing a loved one and how to grieve and how to visualize what it's like for someone to go to the afterlife. Is there hope after that? And can you live and move on even when you still feel that pain inside of you?
Can be hard. And
it's a very emotional trip. The game can get pretty quickly pretty serious, and some topics that I think that for a video game, they did such a good job in, conceptualizing this idea.
Oh, yeah.
And making it very approachable for anyone to easily understand about what is going on. And I'm just truly thankful for Spiritfarer, and it's always going to hold a special place in my heart because thanks to that game, I truly received some genuine healing. I could understand what I was going through, and I felt very hopeful towards the end of this game. But a second game that actually helped me heal, ironically, which might surprise a lot of people, and I mentioned it, but I mentioned a different take of it, which I now am going to reveal a fun fact that a lot of people don't know about it, because it wasn't included in the video, is Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Oh, okay.
Animal Crossing New Horizons, the first reason why I played Animal Crossing New Horizons was when COVID had struck. It was just getting started. I was in the middle of a lockdown. I couldn't go to my job. Back then I was a teacher and I was in the school district. So obviously we all had gone into, lockdown, and we were pretty much doing virtual at that time. So I couldn't really go to the school to teach. So I was at home, not knowing what was going to happen. And as my birthday gift, Animal Crossing New Horizon was pretty much my birthday gift. But what people don't know is the other reason that I treasure Animal Crossing New Horizon is that for me, being Puerto Rican, I'm homesick. I can be homesick at time and want to go back to my home even for a little bit. And I feel like Animal Crossing New Horizon, in a weird way, provides me that comfort of feeling like I'm going back home, because it's an island. So, I have the beach, I can dive, I can fish, I can do things, I can go visit my friends, I can go to the airport and go fly to somewhere else, visit somebody else's island. And in a weird way, it brings me comfort because it feels like I'm almost coming back home and seeing my island. So
I like that.
Yeah, so Animal Crossing New Horizon has helped me just kind of navigate. That feeling is never going to go away, and I understand completely, people that, as me, have had to give up stuff in order to have a better future for us and, for our future generations, for our kids and stuff. But at the same time, you just need something to comfort you and make you realize that you made the right choice. And Animal Crossing New Horizon has done that for me. Yeah. Musically speaking, I can go on. I have a long list of artists that I can easily mention because I attach all of my moments, my memories, my moods to a certain artist or to a certain genre and so on and so forth. I grew up in a family of musicians. My dad's a musician. My brother plays an instrument. My mom sings and plays an instrument. I'm the only one that attempted in various times to play an instrument. But yeah, we'll just leave that for another story. It's in progress.
Yeah, that's the power of music.
But, my singing has always been my instrument. As funny as it may seem, and I kind of get emotional about it, is like the same way you produce music and music has been your tool and your diary to heal. Singing for me has also been my diary and my tool to heal. When I sing about life experiences. I sing about moments, whether it be good or bad, but that have marked my life in a certain way. And in a weird way, I can't even explain it, but when you sing, you can express things that sometimes, just having a talk with someone, you can't really find the right words to explain certain things. And singing, you can just put those words out there, and in a weird way, people will get the message and feel also whatever you're going through or feeling at that moment. So singing has helped me heal. But if I were to talk about an artist, I've mentioned this before, but I really respect and admire NF. Like, NF is those few artists that I'd be like, who would I have a cup of coffee with and talk to them and just to like pick their mind and see, how they think about life and stuff. NF is like one of those guys. Because, when I started following him in his musical career, it was like way back in 2015 when he did his first, I don't know if his first, but he did an album called The Mansion. And then following up, he took off with the following album that was called Therapy Session. And in Therapy Session, he was opening up to the world about his depression and mental struggles he was going through, his family issues, his mom struggling with addiction and so on and so forth. And he was very relatable. And I was going through some dark times myself where I was getting out of a marriage where, let's just face it, I was going through some things that my life was in jeopardy. My life and my kids' life was in jeopardy, and it required me getting out because I needed to do it because otherwise it was going to be too late. And, listening to NF, I felt like it almost was like he was describing me in a weird way. Have you ever had those songs that you listen to it and you're like, wow, it's almost like they just wrote this song for me?
Oh, yeah. I've definitely been there before.
Yeah. So for me, that was like one of those songs that still like I get freaking emotional every time I listen to it because I know exactly how I was feeling, was his song called Breathe. And when you listen to that song, you're like, wow, it just hits home. Another artist for me that has made a big impact that I love till this day, because let's just face it, he's a great writer, is Logic.
Oh yeah, the king of writers.
Logic is such an astounding artist. I truly appreciate and respect his career and everything he's done, especially for hip hop and just rap in general. But like every time he writes, it's like it just hits differently.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
And last but not least, because like I said, I can go on, but last and not least, if I were to talk about someone that I'm like a hardcore fan, which is Russ.
Oh yeah.
Russ just has those songs that when it hits home, it hits home. And there's this one song that you had heard, and you told me once, you're like, oh, I paid attention to the beat and it's good and all, but that time I made you really sit down and pay attention to like the words, and when you had listened to it, you're like, wow, this is deeper than I probably realized or than I thought. And Russ really has a way of he's a really good storyteller.
Yeah.
He's a very
Agreed.
good storyteller, and that's what I feel that the most that I like about his music, that he knows how to tell very well a story. And so yeah, so if I were to say, you know, between music and gaming, all these things have helped me go through some rough times, even when I went through, like what you said earlier, identity crisis. Yeah. This is pretty deep.
Got a little heavy up in here.
Yeah. Which, what a way to transition, because now we're gonna go under the spotlight.
Okay.
Yeah, we're under the spotlight right now, ladies and gentlemen, because we're going to tackle and talk in this space where it's safe and free to be able to express ourselves. And the topic is about content creator challenges.
Oh, okay. All right. I like this.
Yeah. So whether you're a content creator, a live streamer, an artist, somebody who does any sort of thing that requires you being under the spotlight, we're going to talk about what are some of those challenges that sometimes people do not bring up and we've had to face, and ultimately what have we learned from them, what changes have we had to make, and how have we grown overall.
Okay. All right.
Do you mind taking it?
All right. I got 3.
Oh, okay.
I got 3. The first one I will talk about is leaving my comfort zone. That's a pretty big one for me, especially like when I first started in this field. I kind of, like I said before on a previous episode, I wanted it to be more about my music more so than about me. And, you know, I just kind of realized that's not the way things work. So stepping out of my comfort zone first was, hey, putting me in front of the camera, letting people hear my story, putting myself into my music, and just stepping out of my comfort zone. But it goes even deeper than that. I would say pretty recently, you know, since I moved here to Texas, that another one of those comfort zones I had to step out of was just my style in general. Like, from people who know me from the original videos, my videos had a very, very particular style, and they all kind of just went the same way. And it was basically a limitation of, you know, the software that I was using, you know, my equipment available to me, so on and so forth. But once I was able to improve upon my, you know, my video editing skills, my music editing skills, you know, upgrading my equipment and just kind of learning new skills and techniques, my style began to change. And I was actually a little worried about it. Like, is this going to be too different than what I was doing before? Is this going to be like, is this going to put people off that I'm doing something so completely different?
Sorry.
But I think this is all culminating to my next project, which is going to be really, really different than anything that I've ever done up to this point. And it felt good to like push myself to that next level now. And now this next project that I'm going to be dropping soon is really different. It's really different. So I really had to step out my comfort zone and be like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. We're going to try it, and we're going to try something different. We're going to try something new. So that was a big one for me. Number 2, as far as content creator challenges, I would say the second biggest one that I've had to deal with is simply dealing with the reality of what content creation really is. Like, when I first started, I was very idealistical. Just like everything is, you know, sunshine and rainbows and the power of friendship and
Peaches and cream.
yeah, all of that stuff, all that anime good stuff. Yeah, but I realized that in this world, there's a little darkness. There are some corners of here where not everybody is the friendly people that you think they are. Not everybody puts on the front that they think they are. People pretend to be things that they're not, and me being the person that I am, I genuinely like to give everybody a chance. And I've gotten myself hurt quite a bit doing that. A lot of people that I thought would be, you know, with me throughout the whole journey, you know, kind of turned their backs on me. And people that I used to support and love no longer love and support me. And it's just a weird thing, and that was a hard thing for me to deal with because I genuinely believe that most people are good. So I had to really come to that point where I had to deal with the fact that not everybody has my best interest in mind, and that I had to start limiting myself and cutting myself off from certain people and just doing what I feel is best for me and my brand and what I'm trying to build. Because as you go towards the top, more and more people are not going to be happy for you. More and more people are going to be mad or hate or whatever the case may be, and will try to do anything to tear you down. And it's sad, but it's true. And overcoming that was a big thing for me. And then last but not least, it's very interesting, it's just being a content creator in general. Like I said, when I first started, I wasn't in the mindset of being a content creator. I just wanted to be a music person. I just wanted to be an artist. And being a content creator in general is just challenging. I'm still semi-new to this field, and just learning all the ins and outs was a challenge by itself. Like learning how to properly make thumbnails, how to properly shoot videos, and how to do proper promo, and just learning all these analytics and all this stuff is like that in itself was a challenge. Just learning the ins and outs of what really goes into it, because I don't think a lot of people truly understand what it really takes to grow and what it takes to really like reach your audience and to get the numbers that everybody wants so bad, but don't know what it really takes to get them. And I'm still in the process of learning. I still got so much more to improve on, and there's always more I could do better, and it's a lot. So I think just that in itself is a challenge.
I am all over the place right now. Like as I'm listening to you, I'm going back and reflecting about my own challenges, and it's just so many that I just sometimes don't even know where to start. That's how I feel. It's a ball of mess.
Oh, yeah.
Ball of yarn that you just need to unravel.
Oh yeah, it's a lot. I barely even scratched the surface, really.
Yeah. Sometimes you just want to crochet. This is about from all my crocheters. You know where I'm going with this, okay? You get this ball of yarn. It's so tangled, and you're like, I just want to crochet. But I spent 30 minutes just trying to untangle this ball of yarn so I can crochet. But anyways, yeah, that's where we're gonna get into it. This is a total different segue. Talk about challenges, ladies and gentlemen. Now that's a challenge, okay? That's a challenge right there. But as a content creator, one of my biggest challenges that I've had to face over the years, and I've mentioned this before, but I haven't really talked about it enough, is just bringing balance to my life. Once I turn off this camera, I'm still a human being that has a life, and when you create content, this can become a blurry line. And if you have zero self-control, or you're so into your goals and I gotta reach these goals, I gotta reach these milestones, I want to grow the numbers and all that stuff, it becomes obsessive at times. You obsess, you have zero clarity of who you are anymore. Your persona almost becomes your life, and you don't know where to stop. And that was me. I'm just gonna admit it, that it was me. I had went through this snowball effect that in reality I didn't really like it. I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I was going to enjoy it. I had worked so hard to be noticed, to feel like I belonged to a space, to prove myself to an audience and to a community that I was worthy of it, that when the time came, it just happened so rapidly. I didn't even have enough time to process what was even going on. And I was just overwhelmed. I had this whole fear, this fear of, oh my God, I'm blowing up. People are actually noticing me. Now I gotta work double, triple. I gotta deliver more content. I gotta step it up because now people are noticing me. And truth is, no, not, I shouldn't have done that, because the only thing I that led to was to burn out into a crisis, of identity. I was working so hard that it came to the point that I was, live streaming 2 times a week. I was dropping 2 full-blown videos a week, and I was dropping shorts in between. And on top of that, I was on social media nonstop all day. You don't know how many times I said no to my son of things that he wanted to do with me and I didn't do. Of not being able to be there for people that had the best interest for me, but I just didn't have the time to be with them because I was doing all these things, in-person speeches, pianos, being at cons, traveling 3-4 times a month. Sometimes I was just living almost at the airport because it was back to back. Every single weekend I was somewhere, Chicago, Pennsylvania, St. Louis, and it was nice and all, but after a while it started to just be nothing but work.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, wow, Zap, you're always grinding, you're always hustling and just moving forward, and you're growing, and wow, and so good for you, must be nice. But it wasn't nice.
It's not what everybody thinks it is.
It wasn't nice at all. And it just came to the point that I just was burnt out and I didn't know who I was anymore. I actually wanted a personal private life, and I couldn't even have it. I couldn't be in a live stream and just be a viewer, because if I jumped into someone's live stream, everybody knew who I was. So I couldn't even go to support someone to just enjoy their live stream, because I couldn't just be an average viewer.
Yeah.
And having to learn to bring balance to my life was a struggle, because I told you this before. I had mentioned this before, but this goes back to the game you were playing recently, which is a Xenoblade. There's this one scene that these 2 girls are having a conversation, which I don't know what their names are because I don't play Xenoblade. I just happened to see this scene while I was with you, and she was telling this girl how they were so alike because she had worked so hard just for approval. And that hit home because that was me. I was basically working my booty off just for validation and for approval. And while I had good reasons, those reasons just became a clutch in my journey as a content creator.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was one of the hardest thing to admit, guys, is when you start off with the good reasons and then it just goes south and you have to admit that you screwed up. And what are you going to do about it? Instead of just feeling, oh, me is the world, I had 2 choices: feel bad about myself and just complain about how bad everything was going, or do something about it.
That's a choice I think we all have to make at some point. There has to be that line between what's real and what's not, and your real life versus your content creator life. There has to be that point of separation, or you get completely lost in that world, because it's something that happened to me too. Very similar to what you were talking about. At one point, I was dropping 3 videos a week, brand new music, every single 2 remixes and a new song every single week for an entire year. I did it and never missed a video. But what was my life like? And when I think about it, I really didn't have one. I would wake up in the morning, I would go to work, and while I'm at work, I'm writing songs, editing, making beats while I'm supposed to be working, and I'm shooting videos whenever I could fit it in, and I go home, go to sleep, wake up, and do it again. I was basically, every day I would wake up and just dive directly into content all day, every single day, and nothing else mattered at that point. I wasn't spending time with my family. I wasn't doing the things that I was responsible for. And my life around me had fallen apart. Even though my content creator life, Master Sword Music started growing, and I started getting new artists to work with, and everything on that end was going great. But my actual life was in shambles. I had looked at my life and realized I had spent the last 2 years and didn't really have anything to show for it, except a channel that was mildly successful. And that's when I realized that I had to do something different. I had to change. I had to make a move. I had to evolve. I had to understand that life is just more than social media, more than YouTube, more than making the music. Even beyond, like I said, even though music is my number one ultimate passion, even beyond that, is that all I am? Is that all that makes me who I am? Because like once again, you are one of the people that helped me see that. You showed me how much life I hadn't lived. Like when I first moved here, we started going to national parks and museums and opera shows and all these things that I had never experienced or seen. I had my first Korean barbecue.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was pretty good.
Korean barbecue.
We're gonna leave that for another episode.
Oh yeah. But like once I started having all these new experiences, I realized that because I had been so sheltered and just so focused on, I gotta make the music, I gotta make the content, I gotta make the videos, that my personal life was actually like non-existent. And being with you has made me realize that life is so much more than just that. Because now I'm a husband, and now I'm a father, and now I'm responsible for making sure my family has what we need and taking care of a family and making sure that everything is in line. And you know what? I actually get more satisfaction from that than this. Like the biggest satisfaction in my life is realizing that I have a son now that looks up to me and really loves me and wants to be like me. And being
even stealing your moves.
Oh yeah, stealing my moves and everything. And being a husband and having my wife admire me and look up to me and just love me unconditionally, and it's like those are the things that really bring true satisfaction to my life. And that in turn actually makes the content better. Because now that I have this life, I actually have things to talk about in my music.
Yeah. Which is fun when you actually have things to talk about.
Exactly. So now I can take my music to a different plane now, because now I'm in a different phase of my life. Now I can take my music to a different phase. But I would have those moments where I was like, I don't know, I don't have anything to talk about anymore.
Yeah.
Because I don't have anything going on in my life except the same things that I've always been talking about. So now I'm like, what am I supposed to talk? Am I supposed to just keep talking about the same things I've always been talking about? Because I had no life. Because music is based on life experiences. If you don't have any life experience, then what is the music about? So
preach it.
Yeah.
Preach it. For me, piggybacking to what I was discussing earlier, bringing back that balance in my life made me realize that the second challenge in my life was to cleanse and clean up my circle. As dumb as it may sound, which is not dumb at all now in my life, but that's what I used to say back in the day. My grandma used to always mention the fact that it's important who you spend your time with, because eventually that will form and shape who you are as a person. And me, my teenage years, I was like, yeah, that don't make no sense, I'm never gonna be like them. But now as an adult, I came to the realization that it is true.
Yes, it is.
It is very, very true. Taking care of your circle and who you surround yourself with and who you interact with, who you even, confess and trust your most deepest and inner feelings to is so, so important.
Yeah.
So, I came to the point that I needed to take care of my mental health, and therefore I started going into a tremendous purge in my life where I just started unfollowing people on social media. I started, unsubscribing to things that didn't align with my way of thinking and seeing life, my moral, my ethics, my goals for my family, for me to better myself as a person, to be a better version of when it comes to being a mom, to being a wife, to even being myself, because as a female content creator, one of the biggest challenges is staying true to yourself. Social media has molded this in a way that, you think that in order to get somewhere, you just have to play the game, like people say. And for females, it can even be harder because sometimes, people don't even truly pay attention too much to what you have to say. It's more of how you look. And it's sad. It's sad that, sometimes to stand out there, you just have to play the game and portray yourself and being like the beautiful one, and just follow me for my beauty and for my uniqueness and what I have to even say or bring to the table. And, by all means, everybody does what works best for them. I'm not going to sit here and judge anyone for whatever path they decide to take. But for me, I want to be known for what I have to say. I want to be known for the girl that she actually knows what she's talking about. Or, this is interesting. I want to hear her take on this instead of just another cute chick on the internet.
Yeah, that's totally understandable. Because that is a thing that's happening. Like,
yeah.
And unfortunately, I have to say a lot of it is don't get mad at me, fellas, but a lot of it is our fault, because that's the stuff that we buy into, because we see these women and we just gravitate towards them, and we give them that validation, but it's not valid validation. You're just, oh, she looks good, so I'm gonna follow her. Oh, she looks good, so I'm gonna subscribe to her. And honestly, that's not healthy for either one of us on each side or either side of the gender. Like, it's not healthy for women because they get this, oh, all I have to do is do this, and if I continue to do this, then I'll continue to get the likes and views and all of that stuff. And on our end, we become just these guys are just chasing women on the internet, and that's not the reality of the world. Like, we need to, I don't know how this would ever change, honestly. It's sad to say. I don't know if it could ever change or will ever change. Yeah. But as far as me and like for my son and how I'm going to raise him and how I've taught myself, that's not how I want to live my life. I don't want to live my life through a screen. I don't want to live my life through these women that are just on the internet that I'll probably never meet or ever see. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And maybe because I'm a bit older, and I remember a time before the internet and all that kind of stuff where we actually had to go out and talk to people and meet people. I just don't want to live my life that way, because I found myself, like I said, caught up in that world.
Mm-hmm.
Where my whole life was nothing but social media and YouTube. And once I realized what that was doing to me as a person, I didn't like the person that I was becoming. So that was the point where I decided to shift. And like you were saying about like cleaning up your circle around you, the perfect example of that is my family, Master Sword Music. Like, I curated this family. They're more than just artists to me. They're more than just artists I work with or people who do, help me do my work. They are my family. And we have been there for each other through hard times. They've been there for me when I needed them. I've been there for them when they needed me. And we are more than just a record label. We are a family. And that's why I call us the Master Sword Music, the MSM family, because it's different. And that's why not everybody is allowed into that circle, because I want my family to always be my family, and I will defend my family no matter what. Like, there's nothing I wouldn't do for anybody in MSM, because I really do consider them family. And that's just how I choose to live my life. I will protect my family by any means, including you and my son and my Master Sword Music family. And my life is more than just being TJ the Gamer. Mm-hmm. TJ the Gamer is my business. It is my music career, but it is not my life.
Mm-hmm.
I have a life that goes beyond just that. And I would much rather live that life with you and my family than to give up all of that just for fame.
Yeah. For me, yeah, what you said. I had to cleanse my circle. I had to stop friendships that no longer served me in life, you know? They might have served me in a season, and I'm grateful for that season. You know, it helped me get to where I needed to be. But, you know, people come and go, and it is what it is. You know, I wish them the best, but the truth of the matter is, you know, as if you are my friend and you are in my inner circle, you not only want the best for me, but you want the best for my family. And if you can't subscribe to this, then we can't really be friends, you know? And I guess, you know, as I grow older and I'm mature more and more, I've realized that a true friend is going to stick next to you no matter what. And they're never going to force you or push you to make or take, you know, make wrong decisions or do something that would jeopardize your well-being, your family's well-being. They're always going to be there wanting and wishing and cheering you on to become the best version of yourself. So I had to cleanse. A lot of these people are content creators that I truly respect and admire and enjoy their content, but I don't necessarily subscribe on the business side, because if they're a friend, they're a friend. And business is business. And I feel like sometimes you got to separate those things. You can't mix both. Unfortunately, you cannot mix both in this world. Either it's strictly business or we are friends. But it cannot be both. And it doesn't mean that you're not supporting them. It just means that you care too much about the friendship that you don't want business to get in the way.
I agree 100%. Because like I said, TJ the Gamer may be a business, but Master Sword Music is a family. Like, those are my friends. And they choose to want to work with me, and they choose to want to, but I never force anybody to do anything that they feel uncomfortable with, or I don't force any of my opinions on them or who they should be friends with or whatever the case may be. Like, we are just friends, and they just happen to want to work with me. But we've built this community around ourselves to be that, and like, we keep it at that. We're friends before anything else. The friendship becomes before anything business. So like, I agree with you 100%. But unfortunately, I think we're gonna have to take a pause.
We're gonna have to pause?
Yeah, we're gonna have to
Pause?
pause. That's enough pause. Okay.
Okay, all right.
But we're gonna end off this episode. You know, since we've got a little heavy today. Let's get something motivational up in here.
On a happy note.
Yeah. Let's pep talk. What have you had to do to stay motivated as a content creator?
You want to know for me?
Yeah.
This is actually something I've never touched base with no one. This is something I'm going to reveal for the very first time when it comes to content creator challenges.
Let's go.
One of those things that has helped me stay motivated was defining my own voice and identity.
Okay.
So let me start off with the first thing. I can talk from a female side. That was a challenge for me and what I did to stay motivated. So, you know, going back to social media, one of those challenges for me was not letting social media influence me and letting me know how am I supposed to look, how I should, you know, I'm supposed to dress and my looks overall. Because there was a time I was struggling with this. I was like, wow, if only I can look like this girl, you know. But I came to the realization, I'm like, she does not have my body type. She probably has not gone through the phase of becoming a mom and bringing a child into the world. She's probably not married. You know, there's a lot of different things that I've gone through that she hasn't gone through. And I have to consider these things. And instead of letting social media influence my way of dressing, which is funny because I kind of mentioned it to you, I went through a phase that I cleansed my wardrobe. I just threw away clothes and I was like, I don't want to dress like people say I should dress up. I want to dress accordingly to my body type. I'm going to explore what styles look good on me, what colors are the colors that look good on me, what accentuates certain features from my body, what makes me me, you know? And that was a time where I completely detoxed and I experienced such freedom. I started having fun, you know, just wanting to discover and experiment with colors, with patterns, with certain things. And slowly but surely, I started discovering, I'm like, ooh, this doesn't look good on me, but this looks good on me. Oh, I can do this. Oh, sweet. I can just be playful with my style. And now I'm in a place that I feel comfortable with my own body. I can show it off to the world. And something that you taught me most importantly lately, which was something that was part of my healing process, was that even though I'm a mom, I can still be sexy.
That's all right.
I can still be a woman.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. You still are a woman. I mean, did
Yeah.
you stop being a woman just because
Yeah,
you had
I
a
know.
baby?
You know what I mean? And so, but it's stupid as it may sound, you know, a lot of us go through that phase where you're like, oh, you know, I'm a mom, I have a kid, so I'm no longer allowed to wear these certain things or look a certain way because I have to be a mom. But you can still be a sexy mom.
Yes, you can. And you are a sexy mom. And going back to another thing you said about you wanting to look like a certain somebody else. Another thing that I think a lot of people don't realize is that when you're looking at these people, they don't necessarily look like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's filters,
Weaves.
makeup,
Look.
Photoshop.
Yeah.
Just because something looks like something, they may look a little
Your
different.
tummy
when you see
tuck.
it. Yeah. BBLs.
and the fake booty.
Yeah. And the BBL, yeah, man. Brazilian boot. That's a BBL. Brazilian booty lift. The BBLs.
Oh God.
People may not necessarily look the way that you think that they look. They portray this image to be perfect, but who really is perfect?
Mm-hmm.
Like when you meet people in person, you be like, oh, that person doesn't look like... Yeah, of course they don't look like that. There's not a ton of makeup. There's not filters. There's not Photoshop. There's not backgrounds. There's not green screen. Like, there's... Don't get caught up in what you see online. Because what you're looking at online may not necessarily even be real. Especially in this day and age where we got AI now that can make whole profile pictures and stuff of people that don't even exist.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know what you're seeing is that might not even be a real person.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the times you be seeing these females on there and you be, oh, they're so beautiful. And the dude, it'd be a dude behind the keyboard. It'd be a dude. It'd be a whole grown man playing y'all.
Oh,
like y'all
God.
really, like we live in a weird world now that you cannot even trust what you see.
Yeah.
So don't get caught up in that. Don't get caught up in that because
Yeah. So that's been a huge motivator for me, just being able to be more me. As simple as it may sound, you know, the importance of being me, because there's only one me in the world.
it's very true.
There's only one me in the world, and I'm just gonna leave it at that because, you know, what else can I add to it? It's just that's been one of my biggest motivators, being more me in 2023.
Oh, you got bars, huh? Oh, you trying to rhyme now? You trying to take over my territory? You trying to spit bars now? Hold up. Me in 2023. Hold up. Hey, I'm the rapper up in here.
What about you?
Let's see.
You're like, wow, I'm not gonna top off this bar.
I know, right? You just barring me up right here. Me in 2023. I'm about to flex to see what's next. I don't know. But all jokes aside, one of the big things that I've used to keep myself motivated is by constantly challenging myself. Challenging myself, and it started off kind of silly, but it built into what I kind of do now. But like, it all started when I first started making my own original music, and I was using, you know what I do? I use video game themes to talk about whatever I'm talking about. So one of my first challenges to myself was, all right, I was a big fan of Juvenile, you know, Girl, you look good when you back that thing up. You know what I'm talking about? Like, you know what I'm saying? It was that era in the 90s when you had your Little Johns and your Yang Yang Twins, and it was all about that booty shaking club music type stuff. I was like, I wonder, could I do that with video game references?
Mm-hmm.
I challenged myself. I said, make a song like that, but in your style. Can you do it?
Mm-hmm.
And I came up with a song called Rumble Pack.
Mm-hmm.
Girl, shake that thing like a rumble pack. Rumble pack. Rumble, rumble, rumble pack. Go shake that thing like a rumble pack. Hey! So that's how that song came to be. Like, I was literally trying to make a song like some of my favorite artists, but I wanted to do it in my style. So I was like, all right, so you shaking, booty shaking, what shakes? Rumble packs. You remember the N64 rumble pack? The things that shaking it. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm going to use that as my reference. And then I started just going from there. And that challenge really motivated me to do something different. So I was like, I never would even thought that was a possibility. The next big one that came up after that was, all right, I'm doing all this rapping and stuff and doing some video game references. What would happen if I sang? What if I started singing? Because what most people don't know is I've been a singer much longer than I've been a rapper.
Would sing.
I've been singing since I was a kid in church, but I've only been rapping maybe 2 or 3 years at this point.
Good old Sunday morning.
Yeah, I grew up on that.
Yeah.
So like, I was like, what if I use and I was a big fan of R&B. Like, I love R&B music. It's probably my favorite genre of music in the entire world. And I was like, what if I did R&B music, but like in my style with using the video game references and stuff like that? And then that's when songs like Final Fantasy and all those kind of songs started popping up into, in my catalog. And that started to take off. So I'm like, oh, that was another big motivation for me to, okay, let's do that. All right, now that we've done that, how else can we push the limit? Can we do songs about, special moments? Can we do I'm not gonna go there, but can we do songs about sad love, whatever? Like, what can I challenge myself to do next? Okay, now that I've done that, how can I get better at mixing? My next challenge is to be a better mixer. My next challenge is to be a better producer. My next challenge is to be a better video editor or a better storyteller or whatever. Like, I keep challenging myself. All right, what am I not doing? What is something new I can do to keep myself motivated? And that has been a big one for me. It's just constantly challenging myself to try new things.
I feel like we need to have a second part to this because there's just not enough time.
I know. I could literally go on because literally my next project is like the perfect example of what I'm talking about. Because what I'm doing and what the plan is, like, it's on all ends, not even just the music itself, but like what we've got planned for the videos and the music and the art, and like everything is going to be completely different than anything that I've ever done. And it's been a super challenge, but it's been motivating. Like, that's what motivates me, is doing something new, like trying something different and just not staying in that same stale place. And I know that kind of goes against what the whole YouTube algorithm content creator rules is. You're supposed to find your thing and just stick and just do that thing for all eternity, but I can't do that. So I chose my own path, and this is the path that I've chosen.
Well, you know what's my motivator too?
What up?
This podcast right here. This podcast.
Snap.
The Reset and Zap podcast, because believe me, talking about reset, that's what I've had to do this year. Reset my entire life, everything I've ever known, everything I've been comfortable in doing for the past 2 or 3 years, and coming up with a complete new concept that adapts to the new phase and a new season in my life. And that's how the Reset and Zap podcast was born.
Yeah, welcome to R&Z.
Yeah, R&Z. I love it. Such a nice little ring to it.
Yeah, the R&Z podcast. So
to you, the listener, I have a challenge for you.
Ooh.
Comment below. If you go to YouTube/ZapCristal, you're going to see the video portion of this episode. So you have the opportunity of commenting and letting me know, what are some of those challenges you've encountered? It doesn't even have to be content creator challenges, just life challenges. What are some of those challenges you've encountered, and what have you learned? How have you grown? What are those things that keep you motivated and keep going through this journey called life? just let me know. Who knows? Maybe we might bring up some of those comments in the next episode.
Okay. I'm down.
And read them out loud.
I'm down.
Sounds fun. You know what sounds more fun? That you can have that early VIP treatment.
Oh.
Go into that Patreon.
The Patreon. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Patreon. Ladies and gentlemen, let me drop a hot potato, hot potato this one, okay? There's a Patreon /ZapCristal. If you go now, for only the cost of a cup of coffee or less.
Oh, let's go.
You can have early access and sneak peek to every single episode of the Reset and Zap podcast before everyone else does.
Oh, snap.
So by the time everybody else has seen it, you've seen it first.
Oh, y'all just got that?
Yeah, you're like, oh, you just got to watch it? Psst,
I already seen it, man.
I already seen it.
That was amazing. Oh, you about to watch that? Yeah, I already watched that. It was pretty good.
I already watched it. It was pretty good. Yeah. And we have a couple more surprises, of course, I cannot drop, but stay tuned to the website because I'll be making a couple of announcements of maybe some benefits that we're going to add into those tiers for our Patreons because I just love to spoil each and every one of my watts. But you know who I have to spoil right now that I gotta give them a shout out? Is Miley.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Miley is our very first, as a matter of fact, round of applause.
Shout out to Miley.
Miley, my girl, is the very first subscriber that decided to support us financially and helping the Reset and Zap podcast grow. So a special thanks to Miley for listening and being a faithful follower of this podcast. I want to remind you guys to always reset and zap. For the week.
For the week?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks for listening.
Peace out.